ended late last week talking to our football team about family first, and family is the number one thing that matters, whether it's your family at home or the Bison football family, and they intertwined this past week and weekend, and that's the thing that in the midst of the unbelievable run that NDSU football is on, and I've been fortunate and blessed to be a part of, I think sometimes we forget about the human element. A lot of times that happens, and we're dealing with a lot of 18 to 22-year-old kids, and I'm guilty of it as well as I think a lot of people are, of what do we got to do to find a way to get the next win? What do we got to do to find a way to get these guys motivated to play? Well, last week that hit me smack in the face. And the most important thing is what we do with the great young men we have here, and how we always are going to be there for them, whether it's coaches, administration, players. Everybody's here for each other, and this is a huge Bison family that is going through a difficult time. Going through a really difficult time. As all of you know, Paul Morlock passed away shortly after the game on Saturday. And it wasn't quite the celebration that you'd have after a win. I remember him walking off the field after the win thinking, I gotta look at my phone, see what's going on. And I quickly talked to Nick DeLuca. Who said that Paul had passed. Adversity sometimes brings your team closer and closer. And if there is a chance, I don't even know if this team can be any closer, because we have such a great bond of guys. But they're going to be there this week for Chase and Chase's family as well. And this week we'll have some challenges as well. But let's all remember what the big picture is in this, and that's well-being of our student athletes, making sure that we're providing for them, supporting them, and what happens on Saturdays, I know is a part of their life, but it's not the only part of their life. And I think sometimes we get caught up into thinking that that's the main thing. Well, as Gus Bradley would say, keep the main thing the main thing, and the main thing is your family. And Chase has got a great family at home and a great extended family here with Bison Nation, and we're going to be there for him this week, and looking forward to having the opportunity to play an exceptional South Dakota State team at home. So with that, let's open up for questions.
Coach, is Chase Morlock the most respected player on your football team?
You know, he's one of the top guys without question, and you know, just the way he conducts himself on and off the field, his presence in the community, his presence on our football team, his presence as a leader, it's pretty special to see. And so this has hit home for all of us.
I know it's a ways out and tough time. Do you envision he's going to play this weekend?
We'll let Chase decide that as the week goes on, and I told him football would be here for him whenever he wanted to come back, whenever that's this week, next week, last week when we were at the hospital, and so we'll play that out as the week goes.
How tough is it going to be to kind of manage the emotion this week? You know, dealing with stuff with Chase, you know, the game coming up. Is it going to be hard to get both accomplished? Or?
Well, you know, there's no coaching 101 manual. I know that, and so we'll do everything we can, and we have tremendous administration led by Matt, and a great bunch of assistant coaches and a bunch of resilient players. We know that just with all the things that they've been through, and so we'll take it day by day. We'll start today with our, we haven't reviewed the tape. We'll review the tape from Missouri State. There were some great things in Missouri State. There's some things that we need to continue to improve on. And then we'll go out and have our first practice this evening. But it will truly be a day-by-day scenario for us.
Coach, looking at South Dakota State, they've been in so many quote-unquote shootouts. Is it hard to scout a team when they're not in their base very often?
Yeah, it is. And the Cal Poly game's tough. You can almost throw that one out because of all the option. And so from our offensive standpoint to watch that's a little difficult. And TCU has tremendous explosive athletes, and then you throw in Drake in there. So we're really on a 2-game sample, and Western Illinois was a blowout, and then Southern Illinois was a pretty competitive football game, but they do some different things that we do. But we still have to go back to, we've played these guys so many times, looking at a lot of that film, combine it with this year's film, and come up with a great plan based on both teams knowing each other so well. And that's the thing that they have as good of advantage as we do, in the fact that we've played each other. You guys know how many doggone times in the last 5 or 6 years. And so it's not that people don't know each other.
Gosh, the game plans from your coaches during these SDSU matchups are always so impressive. The chess match that plays out there on the field, is that the product of having played each other so many times, or is there a little bit extra competitiveness, being right there, recruiting in the same?
I think it's probably both. Both staffs are tremendously competitive, and both teams are tremendously competitive. A lot of our guys know their guys and vice versa, but no doubt it's every staff has some changes. They don't have many. We haven't had many, at least in the last 3 years. So you kind of, what you see is what you get. And so that makes it, I think, sometimes tougher to prepare, because it's like, okay, that worked last year. We've probably got to tweak that. Or do you say, nope, it worked, it's going to work again? And so that's the fine line that we're trying to go through upstairs in the offices.
This was your best coverage game of the season for pass defense. Did you guys see that? Because you haven't seen the tape, but does that help winning at all?
No. I mean, it's a different game. I mean, there was a lot more quick, short passes with Missouri State, where South Dakota State does a phenomenal job of stretching the field, and we weren't so caught up in Missouri State of saying we had to make sure and either have Jalen Allison to one side or Wimbush on the other side. We could play a little bit more left and right, and being in no huddle that Missouri State was, we did that anyway. But the throwing schemes of both teams are so drastically different, and we have to continue to improve in the secondary.
Christian, compared to some of the quarterbacks you see, just with his mobility and throwing?
He does it all, and he's playing with a lot of confidence, and they're putting a lot of points up on the board. Even in their losses, he's played extremely well, and what I'm so impressed with is how well he throws the deep ball. He has tremendous accuracy, tremendous loft on the ball, puts it in position for his playmakers to go make plays, and they have a bunch of playmakers, and you have to be careful about saying, well, we're just going to go double everybody and play man coverage or something, because he'll beat you with his legs.
How important was it these last 2 games, even if it was just a series or whatever, to get those depth guys in there that didn't have a chance to play in those really close non-con games?
Yeah, every week it gets a little bit better. Every week it helps us a little bit more to get those guys a few more snaps that you never know when they're going to be called upon to play 20 plays or 50 plays. I know 2 weeks ago Plank and Dom Davis were about 50-50. Well, this week I think Matt Plank played probably 70% of the plays, and Dom didn't play as many because we weren't in as much nickel. So you could tell the progress that Matt Plank even made from Illinois State to Missouri State, and we even felt the same thing with Dom. He didn't play as many snaps, but those type of guys are going to be really critical.
You look in the mirror, is it Easton Stick looking back at Terry Christian? Is it the same guy when you look at Christian?
Well, it's hard to say simply because their offenses are so different, and what they're trying to do, they're throwing the ball a lot more than they're running it, and we're just the opposite. We're trying to be balanced, but we have the ability and want to run the football a lot more. So they're both extremely talented guys that do a great job of running their team's offense.
What can you say about your rush defense? They're playing at an extremely high level right now.
Yeah, we're really pleased with how well we're playing and how well we're disrupting things in the backfield. That's the thing that I see so much is we're not staying on the line of scrimmage and reading and reacting. We're penetrating, we're cutting things off, and the thing that was so neat for us is to see the amount of people flying to the football, whether it was a perimeter run and it was a corner coming up and setting the edge, or an inside run where our defensive tackles were getting off blocks and making plays. So that hopefully will allow us to, play another guy in coverage. But, we have to be able to do both. We have to be able to have some run blitzes. We have to be able to have our front four stop people and be able to play some great pass defense, because that's the thing. Christian allows them to have the quarterback as an element to run the football, but he throws the ball so well that's what makes offenses across college football so good right now, is if you have a guy that can do both, and this guy can. And you look at the best offenses in football from like Clemson to Ohio State, whoever else, they all have the dual threat guy.
What's standing out to you right now about your offense?
Well, we're versatile and we're multiple. I think all of us saw the benefit of having Bruce Anderson back, because it gives us the ability to stretch it on the perimeter, gives us the ability, and we wanted to, and we made a conscious effort of Bruce hitting some plays inside and not just being a perimeter guy, of running our normal power game. But we have some weapons on offense. It'll be great to get, if we are able to get Chase back, gives us another weapon. I was so pleased with Tyler Roll and the job he did with the tight ends, because he's a tight end fullback coach, but we didn't have a fullback, so he was just a tight end coach this past weekend, and all those tight ends played a little fullback. Caleb Butler didn't play a snap of fullback Tuesday, Wednesday, and then when we found out Chase wasn't going to go on Thursday, came over and ran through in T-shirt and shorts, basically 7 or 8 plays, walked through a few plays on Friday and gave us 13, 14 plays of fullback. And that's a defensive tackle / defensive end that hadn't had any snaps there. So great job by T-Roll of getting those guys ready to play.
What was it about Caleb Butler that made you use him at fullback, something he played in high school, and what can you say about his contributions all over the place?
Well, he was our goal line fullback early in the season, but then Brock Robbins started to play so well, and we just said, we'll just leave him over on defense. And then when Brock went out, Garrett Malmstrom stepped up and played pretty well. And then Garrett was injured, unfortunately, at practice last week, and so we said, well, we'll just go with Chase and Connor Wentz if we have to. And then we found out Chase wasn't going to make the trip, so now we were down to Connor, but we just didn't have enough guys. So we said, all right, Caleb, you at least know some of the plays, and so he's a really good athlete, and he's playing more on third down for us on defense, so we thought we could steal another 15, 20 snaps from him on offense.
Are you concerned that there were a few drives that your team wasn't able to close out inside the Missouri State 25 8 times, but you got 3 touchdowns out of that?
Yeah, we need to always continue to work our red zone offense, without question. We need to put points on the board when we have the ability to put points on the board with the missed field goal we have had, as well as finding touchdowns in there. That's the difference, and you can see it even with our defense, is some people have moved the football, but in critical situations we've held them to 3, and sometimes that kind of jumpstarts you and gets you going. So something we're definitely going to continue to work on.
This is a rivalry game, whether one team's winning 50-0 or not, but the games you two have played over the last couple of years particularly, does that make it a bigger rivalry?
I think both teams have a lot of respect for each other. I have a tremendous amount of respect for what they're doing over there. Stig's an exceptional coach, a great person, always very disciplined, very physical. well-coached football team, and I think they'd probably say similar things about us, and so that's what makes it a great game is, we're not that far apart from each other in distance and compete against each other a lot in recruits, and both teams are, perennial playoff teams, and it's a fun game to play.
What is the emphasis on the marker this week? Is there an emphasis that you're playing for that?
Oh, you bet. Absolutely. Absolutely. Every year there is. A big emphasis of try to keep the marker here in Fargo. And it's hard to do. College football wins are difficult, and when you've had it like we've had it for a while, it makes it even tougher. And there's no question that they want that down in Brookings, and we want to keep it here. So that's why it'll be, or the case will be in our locker room all week long. So it's a constant reminder that it's the only trophy game we have. And I'm glad. I think there's too many of them in the Big Ten. I like just, there's a trophy game. We're playing for it. Let's see what we can do.
Atmosphere is such a huge part of college football. It's a huge benefit to the Fargo Dome for most games. If there's anyone who knows what to expect in Fargo, it's probably SDSU.
No question. I think you could take that landscape in all the league teams. We talk about the teams that never have come in here, and that's, you hope they're for the advantage. But any team in the Valley, especially teams that have the same coaches year in and year out, I think that you'd kind of take that, not the advantage away. Don't get me wrong. Our crowd's going to be a huge, huge part of this, and we need them as loud as they can be because I know it's an impact. But as far as preparing for it, the teams that have come in here multiple years and stuff, I think they have at least an understanding of it. But our crowd will be a huge factor.
Is the tape from Eastern, is that what you'll kind of be looking at defensively for you guys? What you saw out of them, do they compare?
The tape from what, I'm sorry?
From Eastern Washington, is that what you guys will use to kind of prepare defensively? Is go back and look at that tape from Eastern Washington?
Not specifically, no. I mean, it's a different offense. I mean, it's quite a bit different offense. So no, we'll just watch the tape that we have of South Dakota State.
You guys moved Greg around more in this game than I remember seeing in the past. Is that sort of an answer to other teams' game planning for him so much?
You bet. We're seeing people slide to him. We're seeing people chip him and stuff, and we need to try to find ways to get him one-on-one matchups because I think he's an unbelievably talented guy that wins a lot of those one-on-one matchups. So it's something that we're always looking at. Will it happen this week? I don't know. Coach Kane does a great job of breaking down protections.
Chris Winicky gets all the attention, but where does Dallas Goddard rank in terms of guys you got to stop?
Well, 1 and 1A. In reality, I think he kind of started last year, and we noticed that, and we were doing some good things to take away Jake, and then Dallas came back and hurt us on some things, and so you just look at their stats. I know they're 1 and 2, I think, in touchdown and receptions, and both of them, between the two of them, they have over 70 catches and over 1,000 yards. Great compliment to each other, and that's where you have to be careful. And I know that he's made them pay with people that go double Winicky because he's an unbelievably talented, fast athlete that's running down and playing the conventional tight end as well as the flex. So it's a great benefit for those guys to be able to have Christian have both guys to throw to.
Specific emphasis on run offense this week with time of possession being so important with an offense like theirs?
It is every week. You bet. It is every week. We have to find a way to be able to sustain drives and ultimately get points out of those drives. But even a drive that we don't get points off of, we can't afford to have 3 and outs. We need to be able to get some first downs and get the clock moving. And I think it's just a typical Valley game. It's going to be a 4-quarter game that whatever team makes the most plays down the stretch is going to be the team that comes out on top.
Both teams very good in the turnover ratio. How important will that be in this game? And how do you maybe steal a turnover late in this one?
I wish we could steal a bunch of them, but it doesn't. You got to be able to create them. But no doubt, turnover sometimes in these big games become the deciding factor, and so we will emphasize it, and we've got to be able to hang on the ball.
You brought up some of the injured guys. Are those guys going to be back this week? How are you doing health-wise?
Yeah, no, we will. Obviously, Bruce came out of the game really well, which we were pleased with. Ty Brooks, who had an ankle, came out of the game fine. Eric Bachmeyer, who we played on a limited basis, I think will be closer to full speed. We just used him on special teams a little bit on Saturday, but I think his reps will be able to be increased because he is a little bit healthier. And that's where, the thing about not having Chase on the trip, he started on kickoff return, punt defense, and punt for the last 3 years. Well, we haven't even had to worry about those spots. So that's where the depth really hurt us this past week. And so getting guys like Bach back will really help.
Were you happy with your punt game, excluding Easton Stick's punt?
We're always working on all of our special teams. We need to be better on our kickoffs. We need to be better on our punts. We need to be better on our coverage. And I guess if there's one thing I was disappointed in how we fielded the rugby punt, more so than how we punted or kicked. We need to do a better job of fielding the rugby punt because we lost valuable yards on that.
How about Perkins and Malmstrom? What's their situation?
Perkins is out for a while. Malmstrom will learn more this week.